Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 294 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. It's always good to be with you guys. Thank you for listening as always, and thank you also for sharing. It means a lot when you do that because it's such an honor for me to be able to connect with the people that mean a lot to you as my regular listeners. So thank you. All right. Have you guys ever thought, man, I'm just not sure how I've made so many mistakes and managed to stay out of too much trouble. Maybe how I've managed to stay out of jail even. Or just managed to not totally derail my entire life. Have you ever thought that? Well, something happened this last week that showed me without a doubt that there is a higher power of some sort looking out for each one of us. However you believe, you may believe strongly in your religion or your God, or maybe you don't have a regular religious practice, but you're still spiritual. Or maybe you don't give it much thought at all, wherever you are. I want to give you hope that there is someone looking out for you, for each one of us. Now, I've always felt that way. I've always felt that there's this little angel looking out for me. And I wonder how many of you have felt that way. I mean, I'm just like everyone else in that there's good things that happen and there's also bad things that happen. But I've always felt that even in the bad times, there's simply nothing I can't handle. Even though sometimes it feels like I can't, I know deep down that I can handle it. And somehow I always find the strength to pull through. And if you're standing here as an adult or sitting or whatever you're doing, then you have too. Because I know you've been through hard things and you've come out on the other side of them just like I have. It's always helpful to remember those times because, you get on the other side of something, you can do it again. My life, if I'm being very transparent, is really good. Now, I think some of that, of course, is because I'm a natural optimist. So I'm always looking for what's good in things and in people. I'm not perfect at it, but it is my natural state. I'm naturally happy and optimistic, and I have an amazing husband. So we have financial security to where we don't have to worry day to day about money. So I'm telling you all this, I'm not bragging. That's not about that. So I'm just telling you this because I'm not the type of person that gets messages of support randomly from people because they just don't seem to worry about me in that way. And that's what I think anyway. But I think that's a good thing. So it's okay. Now I'm going to start getting random messages, lots of them. But anyway, this last week, I received 2 random messages from people that had no idea that I was going through the sudden loss of a beloved family member. I've talked a lot about that in the last couple episodes. But one of those messages was from my trainer, Kevin. He just out of the blue sent me a text saying how proud he was of me and how much I've grown and how strong I am. Well, I was thinking that maybe someone had told him what I was going through and that he was sending that in support of what had happened. So I replied back to him and said, "Thank you. This has been so hard, especially on my sister." So after a minute, he sent a text back and he was confused. He was like, "What's wrong with your sister?" He didn't know. He just said, well, God must have put it in his heart to reach out to me because it happened so out of the blue. And for it to happen so out of the blue like that was very interesting to me. I needed that message, and there it was. The second time that it happened, it was a new friend that she also had no idea that my family was going through the death of a family member. She had no idea what I was dealing with. And she had been at a seminar in California, and at the seminar, they were saying, sometimes they'll do this, they'll say, send a text to someone to encourage them or to tell them to keep shining their light. And out of everyone in her world, which she has a big community, she chose me. She was pulled to send that message to me, the message of encouragement. Very random, and again, I needed it, and there it was. My point here is a lot of times we all, at any different times, might feel inspired to do something or send something to someone randomly. Maybe they pop into your mind to encourage them or to tell them you love them. Do it. When you get inspired to do that, do it. Don't hesitate, even if it's someone you've had a falling out with, especially if it's someone you've had a falling out with. Now, I'll share something that I haven't shared before with anyone, and it's not something I'm proud of, but I learned from it, so it's not in vain, right? When I got the call from my mom that my brother-in-law had died, I immediately wanted to call my sister that I hadn't talked to in years. I had a really strong desire to call her, and because of my pride, I did not. But within 5 minutes or so of me thinking that, she actually called me. Without hesitation, of course, I answered. We only talked long enough to make sure that we were each okay and to say that we were on our way to our parents to be with them and our older sister, and we'd see each other there. But I was really proud of her for reaching out. I'm sure she wasn't sure what she would get, but she did it anyway. And it paved the way for a less awkward reunion in person. So when you're inspired to do something or you have a strong desire to call someone, please do it. It may not always turn out the way you want it, but at least you aren't the reason things aren't mended. Man, relationships are so complicated. I know they are. But the number one thing you can do to have better relationships in every single area of your life is to get on board with who you are. To become so in tune with your inner self that you can see when you're doing something from your ego or when you're doing something from love. Had I stopped and really thought about when I wanted to reach out to my little sister, I would have. But my ego stopped me from doing that. And again, I'm not proud of that. Love doesn't isolate. Love isn't a tightening. It's a releasing. Love isn't closed. It's wide open. And love doesn't come from a place of pride. It comes from a place of humility. My challenge to you this week is to analyze your actions when you're dealing with a difficult situation. Is your action coming from a place of love, or is it coming from your ego? Now, how would it change if it were coming from a place of love? Maybe you wouldn't say it. Maybe you would say it. Maybe you wouldn't post it, or maybe you would post it. Maybe you wouldn't respond immediately. Maybe you give yourself time to ask yourself where it's coming from. And finally, if someone comes into your mind where you're encouraged or inspired to say, hey, I love you, or I'm just thinking of you and I wanted to send you some encouragement, be sure you do it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.